Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ever wish you could just download knowledge straight into your brain?
Uh-huh. Right.
Well, today's deep dive is about as close as it gets.
Ah.
We're taking you to Finland.
Virtually, of course.
Virtually, of course, to explore this really cool course I found called Sustainable Futures.
And it's not just the name that's exciting. The whole thing is just packed with these really innovative approaches to teaching and learning.
Right. When I first saw this, honestly, I was hooked. And get this, it's open and free to everyone.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, although they only have 20 spots.
Oh, so it's competitive.
Yeah, pretty competitive.
Right.
Now, it is taught in Finnish.
Makes sense, Finland.
Right. But don't worry, we got the inside scoop for you.
Okay, good.
The course code is, if you want to look it up, KETU1.
KETU1.
Which translates to Sustainable Future. But let's just break down why this is so much more than your average online class. What stood out to you right off the bat?
I think for me, honestly, it was the phrase eco-social education. It's like they're signaling this move beyond just environmental awareness.
Yeah.
To something much deeper. What do they even mean by that?
That's what grabbed me, too. It does feel like they're acknowledging that we can't separate social issues from environmental ones.
Right.
They're intertwined, and this course seems to be exploring that connection head on.
Yeah.
Plus, they're using sustainable development and future studies as the framework.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Especially considering how often future planning gets bogged down by focusing on just the problems.
Yeah.
Weaving in future studies brings a sense of possibility and agency to the table.
Totally. And speaking of agency, they're big on hands-on learning. We're talking group projects, interactive activities.
Oh, wow.
They're even using art to explore these concepts.
That's what makes this course description so innovative.
Yeah.
It's all about experiential learning.
Yeah.
Engaging multiple senses and making these really complex topics stick. It's they're saying, don't just study sustainability.
Right.
Experience it.
So get your hands dirty.
And that brings us to the course schedule.
Yeah.
Which is greatest hits of creative teaching methods.
Oh, I like that.
Okay, so they have got a session called
It's me.
Memory and Material, a deep connection to the tree.
Okay.
I mean, how cool is that?
That one really piqued my interest, too. It seems like a perfect example of their multidisciplinary approach.
Yeah.
They're blending art, nature, maybe a bit of philosophy,
Right.
all in the context of sustainable living.
And it's not all airy-fairy concepts.
Yeah.
They get into the nitty-gritty with sessions on things like counter-advertising and systemic thinking.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine actually learning how to deconstruct those persuasive ads that we're just bombarded with every day.
It's a critical skill these days, especially with the rise of greenwashing.
Totally.
Understanding how to identify those misleading claims.
Yeah.
It's crucial for making informed decisions as consumers.
For sure. And then there's systemic thinking, which I admit I had to brush up on a bit.
Yeah.
It's basically about seeing the bigger picture, understanding how everything is interconnected.
Exactly. It's you can't just address the symptoms in isolation.
Right.
To create real change, you need to understand the underlying systems at play.
Yeah.
And that's essential for tackling these complex challenges like climate change or
Right.
social inequality.
It makes you think differently about problem solving, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And speaking of different perspectives, they also dive into history with this session called Rewriting the Past.
Ooh, that one really stood out to me, too. It kind of suggests they're challenging traditional historical narratives,
Yeah.
maybe exploring untold stories or alternative perspectives.
It makes you wonder what narratives we might be missing.
Right.
And how those missing pieces might change our understanding of the present,
Totally.
let alone the future.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are there any blind spots we might have when it comes to sustainability?
That's a big question. I think it's easy to get caught up in the dominant narratives.
Especially when they're presented as fact.
Yeah.
But history is always being written and rewritten.
Yes.
It's an ongoing process of interpretation.
You're right. History isn't set in stone. And on that note, they also dedicate a whole week to exploring the UN's Agenda 2030.
Okay.
But not with
Not with boring lectures.
No. They're doing a role-playing game.
Now, that's what I call hands-on learning.
Right.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant way to bring those global goals to life.
Yes.
And help students understand the complexities of international cooperation.
Imagine stepping into the shoes of a diplomat
Gross.
or a policymaker
Oh, yeah.
and trying to tackle these real-world problems. Talk about a crash course in global citizenship.
And it probably sparks some incredible discussions
Yes.
and debates among the students.
Oh, I bet. This course seems designed to get people thinking critically and creatively about solutions.
And that's not all. They even dedicate time to explore the impact of technology, specifically AI, on art, ethics, and our understanding of ourselves.
That's so key. We hear so much about AI these days, but this course seems to be tackling those big picture questions about how it will shape our future, for better or for worse.
It's not just about understanding the technology itself.
Right.
It's also about its ethical implications and potential consequences.
Yes.
It's about ensuring that these technological advancements align with our values and contribute to a more just and sustainable future.
It's like they've taken every hot topic and packed it into this one amazing course.
Yeah.
But they don't just leave you hanging. They don't just give you all this information and say good luck.
Right.
They actually wrap up with this whole session on citizen activism.
Oh, wow. See, that's a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Right.
It's one thing to understand the challenges and even envision solutions.
Yeah.
But it's another thing entirely to feel empowered to take action.
Yeah, to go from student to change maker, right?
Exactly.
I have to say, I'm really blown away by this course. It's so creative, so forward-thinking, and I love that it's open to everyone.
Yeah, me too.
What do you think? Is this a model that other institutions could adopt?
I really hope so. Imagine if this kind of holistic, action-oriented approach to sustainability education became the norm.
Yeah.
It could be a game changer for how we address these urgent global challenges.
It makes you wonder what's possible when we rethink education.
Right.
Right. Instead of just memorizing facts and figures, it's about equipping people with the knowledge, the skills, and the motivation to shape a better future.
Precisely. It's about fostering that critical thinking.
Yes.
Creativity and collaboration.
Yeah.
Skills that are essential not just for tackling sustainability, but for navigating this increasingly complex world.
Well said. Well said. This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. What about you?
Lots to think about.
Anything else that's sticking with you?
You know, one thing that's really resonating with me is their emphasis on connecting with nature.
Yeah.
In that memory and material session, we've talked about the intellectual and the practical aspects of sustainability, but there's also this emotional dimension.
Yeah.
That's so important.
That's such a good point. It's about remembering that we're a part of nature.
Yes.
We're not separate from it.
100%.
Maybe that's a good place to leave our listeners today. Think about your own relationship with nature. How does it inform, your values, your actions?
How can we cultivate a deeper sense of connection?
Right.
And responsibility.
Yes.
In a world that often feels really disconnected from the natural world.
Lots to ponder. If this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to check out the Sustainable Futures course online. And if you happen to be in Finland, consider signing up. We'd love to hear about your experience.
Absolutely. Let's keep this conversation going. What other innovative approaches to education or sustainability have you come across?
Yes, keep those thoughts coming, and we'll catch you in our next deep dive.